And it's important, guys. Don't just accept what people are saying to you, including what I'm saying to you. Don't accept anything that I say to you. That's kind of funny to say. Anyways, welcome to Maya and Illusion, where we connect with our spirituality. This is your host, Maya Nair, a philosophy junkie with a deep desire to serve the world. I've come to know that knowledge is bliss and ignorance a blister. So let's drop our suffering and seek our infinite potential, shall we? Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Maya and Illusion podcast. This is episode number 14, the 3 different forms of sadhana. In the previous episode, we talked about sadhana, right? We understood that sadhana is any form of spiritual practice, and we also talked about why we should engage in sadhana, basically the merits of doing sadhana. Alright, so in this episode, we are going to talk about the 3 different forms of sadhana. So let's just go straight for it. The 3 different forms of sadhana are the first one, Shravanam, second one, Mananam, and the third one, Nididhyasanam. Okay, so what do these weird sounding words mean? Don't worry, I got you covered. So these are Sanskrit words for the different forms of sadhana. The first one, Shravanam, is the practice of listening to Lord's glory. It can also be considered as this practice of gaining knowledge. And it's not just restricted to listening alone. You could read scriptures, listen to discourses by, great and wise spiritual leaders, or watch a movie. Well, that sounds fun, right? See, guys, self-development and spirituality is not that bad, and it's not that boring. Also, guys, one more thing. All the information that I'm sharing with you, it doesn't have to be limited to the spiritual and self-development realm. You could also use this information and apply it to other areas of your life if you want to see more growth. Okay? So that was the first form of sadhana, Shravanam, listening and gaining knowledge about the Lord. The second form of sadhana is called Mananam. Mananam is the practice of continuous reflection. So you should not take any information as it is presented. You must reflect on it. See if it makes sense to you. See if it is true for you. And in order to do that, you must reflect on the knowledge attained. When your teacher says E is equal to MC square, and you just blindly accept it, you have no idea what E, M, or C stands for and how it applies to you or the world around you, then that's called rote learning. And in the self-development realm, there is no room for rote learning. It's not enough to have a bunch of information. If you're not going to make use of it, it's of no use for you. So you need to set aside some time to reflect on the information that you have received from various sources of knowledge. And it's important, guys. Don't just accept what people are saying to you, including what I'm saying to you. Don't accept anything that I say to you. That's kind of funny to say. Anyways, use your mind intellect equipment and see for yourself if the information that is being presented to you is true for you, whether it works for you. For example, we all know, and we have all heard, that happiness is a choice. Is that true? Can I be happy now, like right now? Can I choose that for myself right now? Even though everything seems like crashing to the ground, even though I'm failing in a bunch of exams, can I choose to be happy right now? Well, yeah, maybe I could be. It's this process of asking yourself this question and figuring out the truth. It's like dive in and find your own truths. Alright, that was all for the second form of practice of sadhana, which is Mananam. Now we're going to the third one, which is called Nididhyasanam. Now that is a cool word, right? Okay, Nididhyasanam means meditating on the information that you have received and reflected upon. So you received this information through Shravanam and you reflected upon it through Mananam. Now what you gotta do is meditate on it. This is the final step of sadhana, which helps you integrate all the knowledge that you have gained from the world into your own being. So first, we interact with the world outside through our sense organs and we gain the knowledge. Then we use the mind-intellect equipment so that we can make sense of the knowledge that we have gained and see if it's true. Finally, what we gotta do is we have to sort of become that knowledge. You have to embody that knowledge. What I really mean by that is there's this notion of we become what we meditate upon, right? So if I meditate upon happiness being my choice, then it becomes true for me and I start exercising that choice. I become a person who uses my choice to be happy. Guys, meditation isn't just simply about thinking about something. It's about transcending the mind and just being. It's about completely digesting that information and living it. It's one thing to say that my nature is Satchit Ananda and another thing to be Satchit Ananda. Intellectually I can think a lot of things and I can be like, yeah, that makes sense. But if I'm not living that, if I'm not being that, I'm not embodying that, then there's no point. There's no use for it. Okay, so those were the 3 different forms of sadhana, and guys, I cannot emphasize on the merits of practicing sadhana. And seriously, if you can't take 10 minutes of your day to do sadhana, you really need to stop and look at your life. Like, you really need a life assessment. And another important thing is, when it comes to sadhana, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. You don't have to read Bhagavad Gita 1,000 times or meditate for 3 hours a day. It's not in the how much, but in the how well that you should be focusing on. Whatever you plan to do, do it well. Sincerely do it. Because God helps the sincere ones. I promise. Alright, that's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you think this episode might be helpful for someone, do share it with that person. And if you want to connect with me, you can do so by going over to my blog, which is www.mayanillusion.com, or any form of social media. All the links would be in the show notes. So thank you so much for taking your time and listening to this episode. I really appreciate it. Thank you for investing in your own self-development journey. That is amazing. Have the best day of your life. We'll talk soon. Before I leave, I want to remind you that you are Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, and pure bliss. Everything else is Maya and illusion.